Hi there, I'm Pam Purnell with Healing Tree Alchemy, here today with Tanya Eklund of the Tanya Eklund Group, #1 real estate team at the #1 Remax office in the world. So I'm very excited to be here today with Tanya to talk about her being a boss babe, as well as how she balances being an entrepreneur with being a mom. So thank you so much, Tanya, for being here.
Thank you for asking me, Pam. I'm honored.
Thank you. Well, very excited. I mean, everyone in Calgary knows of you. We see your advertising everywhere. Love it. And so I just want to get an idea of your background and why you went into real estate and how you got started on your journey.
Absolutely. Well, I grew up in a farming community, and I went to the University of Alberta and started my education there and didn't finish my degrees. I had an opportunity when I was 20 years old to come to Calgary, and I met with a realtor here, and he was a young guy and very encouraging of me getting in. And so I left the University of Alberta after 3 years and pursued real estate. And I always thought that I would go back. I wanted to be a lawyer, and glad I'm not now. And I always thought that I would go back to school, and I didn't, because real estate was very challenging. Every day was different. I was my own boss.
Nice.
I didn't have many freedoms at the beginning. Those freedoms came after many years.
Sure.
But I really kind of just settled into real estate, and it became my passion.
Yep. So what were the challenges that you faced early on being an entrepreneur?
Well, this is going to date me, but I mean, I started in August of 2000, and I started at the #1 Remax office in the world. It had been for 1 year at that time. And my thought is, if I want to be the best, I'm going to work with the best. And so I joined up. I was one of very few women. It was very much an old boys group. I really had to prove myself. And in fact, there was a gentleman that said to me, "So how much do you think you're going to make your first year?" And I said, "I'm going to make $100,000. And he said, "I doubt it." And that was kind of the drive for me to say, I'm going to show you. You know, I may be young. And I hadn't sold a shoe, let alone a home. So I made so many mistakes, you know, mistake after mistake. And rejection just became the word of the day. I opened up the phone book. I cold called. I started at A, and I think I might have gotten to, you know, L within 6 years. I got hung up on. I got sworn at. I got rejected. I do 10 listing presentations a week, and for the first 6 months, I don't think I got one.
Wow.
Because I just didn't have the tools that people were looking for, the skill.
Sure.
So I really learned by doing. That was really the key at that point, you know, to this little success I saw. Was my thought was, each rejection I get, it's closer to a yes.
Right. And where did this tenacity come from? Have you always had it?
If you ask my parents, they'd probably say yes. I've always been very headstrong. I'm very type A. I don't like losing. My husband will tell you that. That's why he doesn't work out with me or run with me. I'm very competitive by nature, sometimes to my detriment, to my own detriment. But I think it was probably how I was born. I came into the world this way.
So would you say that's part of the secret to your success?
I think so. I think too, you know, I don't know where it comes from, and I'm being very vulnerable and honest with you. I think there's always a fear of loss or failure. And I think if most people are honest, we probably all have a bit of that in us. So where does it come from? It comes from maybe a fear of not wanting to fail, of wanting to, you know, be successful. And so I would say it's maybe a bit of fear-driven and tenacity.
Right. But I appreciate your vulnerability, especially as a business owner. I think it's easy to step back and say, oh, you know, I just have the magic touch, right? It just goes to show that it was hard work.
That's right.
And, you know, looking at your life, I see that you're very healthy, you're very balanced. And so I would love to dig into that, because at my podcast, you know, it's all about how do we optimize our health?
Yes.
So what do you do for your healthy routine?
Yes. Well, right now, my husband, Chad, and I, we're actually doing a very old health routine. It's Bill Phillips. It's called Body for Life.
Oh, yes. I remember that.
Bill, I mean, I think he was from the 90s, but it's a refresher every year. So as far as my diet, we're kind of in the eating small portions multiple times a day. I cut out all the things I love, like my chips and my chocolate. We have Saturdays are cheat days, but we're eating a lot of the same things that we ate before. It goes really back to the basic food groups. We're not cutting out carbs. We're not cutting out meat. We're just really eating a balanced diet, which I think it's much easier to sustain that because it's workable. Right. I've always been an avid girl to work out. So I've had a trainer for probably almost the 18 years that I've been in Calgary. Philip is my trainer now. He qualified me for Boston, and he's been stuck with me ever since.
Amazing.
And so he keeps me in shape. I train with him 4 days a week, and then I train by myself 2 days a week. And gotta look good in that bathing suit in Maui in December.
Ooh, that's exciting. You get a break.
Yeah, I get a break.
Back
Exactly.
to the balance.
It is. It's really a balance. And I kind of believe in that old philosophy, you work hard, play hard. And so I just got back from Mexico City for 4 days, and I took that time off of eating. I wasn't going to pass up eating at a Michelin star restaurant. So I do believe it's about balance, but working out, healthy body, healthy mind. I love that feeling of endorphins. And in fact, I had a sprint workout with Philip today, and I cried at the end. I literally cried.
Wow.
I haven't cried in years. I was so exhausted. And then he made me pinky swear that I'd take the next 2 days off.
Oh.
But it just makes me feel good. I feel like I solve a lot of problems in my workouts. So I might go in having an issue or a problem that I'm thinking with a client or something that is really bothering me. And by the end of that workout, I'm like, you know what? First world problems. It's not really that bad. These are the things that I'm going to do to work on it or solve the problem. And so even today in my workout, I was thinking of things that I was going to do, for the rest of my day. So working out is it's a must in my life.
Okay. And so you're working out, you're busy. How do you get the workout in when you're leading a team of how many? Is it 7 people?
So there is, how many of us is 8 of us.
Wow.
Yeah.
So how do you be a boss babe and fit it all in? Because so many people say they just don't have the time. So I'm sure that the viewers would want to know your secret when it comes to time management.
Yes. Well, in all honesty, when I first started my business, I didn't maybe have the time management I had now, but I also didn't have the responsibilities. I wasn't married. I didn't have children. It was really just me and only me that I had to worry about. And so I kind of just learned, when you start a business, someone says jump and you say how high, because you can't afford to say, oh, sorry, I'm going out with my friends tonight. I can't meet you to show a house.
Yeah.
They'll call someone else.
That's right.
So my time management when I started, I probably didn't have great time management. It's something that I've learned from trial and error and experience and growth. Fast forward 18 years later, I've been able to delegate things in my life in order to give me balance. So we have, I think, the most amazing nanny in the world, Marizan, and she is like a second mom to my children. So we don't have to worry about childcare. I have my team that is really a rock behind my business. Without my admin and my staff, I wouldn't be able to function because I'd be up till 3 a.m. doing paperwork. I always take time out of the day. My rule is I'm home by 5 or 5:30 to be with my girls, and then if I have to go back out at 7:30 when they're in bed, then I'll go back out and take more appointments. I take Sundays off as a rule. That's kind of a sacred day with our family. And then Chad and I both work a half day Saturdays, kind of from 9 to 2, 9 to 3, and then the rest of the day are with our families. Now I can be a little bit more selfish of my time. I can delegate some of the work or some of my clients that I would have usually taken on to my team. So I'm really big into delegation, which has helped me with my time management. But at the beginning, and I know there's a lot of moms out there that are starting their businesses with families. And so if it's finances, it's a lot harder to delegate things because there's a cost associated. The flip side is that if you're just starting a business, you likely will have a little bit more time to do those things. Then once you see some cash flow and some success, then you can start delegating.
Would you say as a general rule, the first couple years as an entrepreneur, you're just going to be busting your butt?
You're wearing all the hats in your business. I did everything. I did made all my own appointments. I put in all my own listings. I called for feedback. I did all the conveyancing to the lawyers. I let the home inspectors in. I dropped off signs and feature sheets. So now I'm able to concentrate on negotiating on behalf of my sellers, marketing their homes. And I'm able to concentrate on the things that I am really good at and delegate the things that, allow me to run a successful business.
Sure. And I suspect when clients come to you, they come to you because of your name. So you can put some boundaries around your schedule and when you're going to be available.
Right. Yeah. And I still have very open boundaries. I mean, my clients will email me at midnight and likely I'll still get back to them. So that is the one kind of a secret sauce, I would say, is even though I've evolved and I have a family and I've grown my business, I am always available to people. You have to be. So I'm not saying if I go to Egypt, I'm going to answer my phone, but I'm saying, you know, I'm very available for people. If you don't answer your phone, somebody else will.
Right. And what would you say to people who say, well, how do you get away from the phone when you really need that downtime? Is that what you take Sundays for?
Yes, and I was away on a business forum, and that's one of the things I'm working on right now, is being more present.
Right.
Being more present with my kids, my family. So I actually made some goals on my retreat, and one of the goals was, when you're making goals, make them realistic. So for me to say I'm going to step away from my phone for 3 hours might not be realistic, but what I might be able to do is step away from my phone for an hour, and then once I've mastered that, step away from it for 2 hours in the evening. So when I'm home from 5 to 7 with my girls, I can be completely present. And so Rome was not built in a day, and I think as entrepreneurs, business owners, we have to remember that in order to succeed, we have to set realistic goals. And then there's what we call our BHAGs, which are our big, hairy, audacious goals. Right. So it's good to have both so you don't disappoint yourself.
Well, I think being present, we all struggle with.
Yes.
But especially when you know clients are demanding and it's time sensitive to put together the deals. Yeah. But like you say, 1 hour at a time. Yeah. And I think that's a good lesson for all of us. Yeah. Stepping away from our phones, taking that break. Because I know myself, if I am constantly on my phone, at the end of the day, I'm just feeling drained.
That's right.
And I suspect that's why you work out, and that's why you're eating good food, and you and your husband are working out. Maybe not together. And actually, people got to see Chad when he walked out, so he was part of the video.
He's working at home today. That never happens.
But great to have him part of it. So what do you do to handle the down markets and the stressful times being an entrepreneur?
Well, I've seen 2 of them. So I've lived through 2008, and then definitely we're living through this one right now in Calgary. I would say, you know, again, be realistic with your goals. I'm of the mindset when the market's down, I actually spend more on marketing, but I'm maybe more conservative in other areas of my personal life even. So I sink more money into my business because I want to have more of a presence with people. If I start to step things back, then to me that's setting myself backwards. Why would I do that? You want to shine in a down market when a lot of people are stepping back. So it is really having to be conservative maybe in other areas of my life, maybe not spending as much in other areas, but investing back into my business. Right. I still get away. We as a family still travel, and some people say to me, oh, how nice, you know, you are so lucky. And I say, well, actually, it's not a luxury, it's a necessity. And we all need downtime. I used to hide when I would go away. I wouldn't post things on social media because I was worried about what my clients would think. But if my clients know me, which most of them do, I am on all the time. But to be out of the environment that you're on in all the time and to step away, even when we go to Phoenix, even when I was in Mexico City, you know, last week, I still answered my phone. It's not like I just disappear, but I'm able to step out of that environment and work on myself. And that is really an important thing to do. It's important to sit on a beach. It's important to reflect. It's important to go to a course and get facilitation on how to be better. And so I think that the people that really know you will appreciate that and be thankful that you're doing that.
100%. And I think every client knows that we all need downtime.
That's right.
And the fact that you are available, but you're taking that time.
That's right.
It makes you a better agent, a better mom, a better wife. Yeah. And I think that's a great lesson all around.
Yes.
Now tell me what made you decide to do the Eklund Project when you're busy, you've got a lot going on. Actually, tell people what the Eklund Project is.
So, well, to answer your first question, I felt like I joke and say, you know, someone will say to me, oh, we saw you on the shopping cart or the bus bench. And I'm like, oh, yes, it's what every little girl dreams of, sarcastically. Yeah. And so I feel like I was maybe just a face on a billboard or on a bus bench. And so people connect because they find a commonality with somebody. Right. And so I felt that maybe there was a lack of connection, or people might think, oh, she's too busy, or, you know, I was just this face. And so I wanted to create, you know, just that I'm a real person. I have real life problems. I struggle just like everyone else with my business and things, and, you know, how I look, and I'm a real person. And I think these days and times, women are sometimes afraid to be vulnerable in fear of judgment, which is, you know, just a natural thing that we all go through. And I thought it would just get a chance for my audience and for people that don't know me, but may perceive me in a certain way, to really get to know me. Mm-hmm. And when you become more real to people, you connect more with people.
Yes.
And so that's why I wanted to do the Eklund Project. And we really enjoyed doing it. It was a lot of work. I had a great team behind me, and it's been a lot of fun.
I think that's so amazing, because you are right. I mean, before knowing you personally,
Yeah.
I only ever saw you on billboards,
Yeah.
right? And so that was a Tanya Eklund that I
Yeah.
knew. And so doing the project, what sort of feedback have you gotten from people?
You know what? I have only had amazing feedback.
Yeah.
So if someone hasn't liked it, they haven't shared it with me. But I think it just created, that I'm human and that I'm real and that I have, real friends in my life.
Sure.
And that I have the same struggles, and it showed a little bit about my roots. I grew up in a really small town, I think again, relatability, that connection to people, and I've had just an overwhelming response to it. It's been really great.
So if people want to watch the Eklund Project, how do they find it?
So they can, on my Instagram, I have it on IGTV, and they can also Google my YouTube channel, and all 9 episodes are there, and they're short. They're only 3 to 4 minutes. So, yeah.
I watched the one of you going back to your hometown in Wetaskiwin and getting lost, and I
Yeah.
had to giggle at that.
All like 12,000 people that live there where I grew up, and I literally got lost. Like, how does that happen?
I don't know, but it was pretty awesome. Made the episode, in my opinion.
Awesome. Good.
So what would you share for others who are an entrepreneur, stressed, unbalanced, not taking care of their health?
Yeah.
Because I can sit here and talk about health all day long, but I'm not in your shoes. So you live and breathe this. So what can you say to people that would be relatable and that they can take away a message and really be motivated?
Well, I think my perception of people, or when I speak to people, my conclusion that I draw from that is people let their health slide because of financial reasons, because they have to work on their business, because they're too tired at the end of the day, because they can't commit the time to do it because they're with their family or growing their business. The analogy that I can think of is, think of if you have the flu or the cold and how that puts your body out. I mean, a really bad flu or cold, you'll likely be in bed for at least a few days. And you think of how that affects your life being a parent or running your business. So fast forward a year to the leading cause of death in women and men in North America is heart disease.
Yes.
So often stems from obesity. So think of that life, and maybe not death, but maybe issues with your heart, just issues with your health if you're not taking care of yourself. So I look at it as, how can I not afford to do it and be proactive?
Right.
And knowing that how good I feel.
Yes.
It's not even a question for me. So I'm not an early morning riser. I need 8 hours a day. Like, I go to bed at 11 and I get up at 7, pretty much like clockwork. So I'm not running off of 4 or 5 hours. I make time because it is important to me. It's just ingrained in who I am. And if it's not you, but you want to do it, then again, just taking those baby steps. Even my husband started meditation. He even took a course on it. If you start meditating, you don't start meditating for 20 or 30 minutes a day.
That's right.
You start meditating for 3 minutes or 2 minutes. I know a fellow who's ADD, and he's like, trying to get past the 5-minute mark.
Yeah.
And so you have to set realistic goals within who you are in order to succeed.
Right.
So that would be, number one. Number two is, if you don't know, ask. The whole fake it till you make it thing only lasts so long. I think surrounding yourself with people who will elevate you and lift you up. I say you are the average of the top 5 people you surround yourself with.
Right.
And so if you have people in your life that aren't supportive of your dreams and goals and aren't your number one fan, in the tickle trunk they go.
Right.
And you find the people that elevate you and that are supportive of you and that you can learn from.
Sure.
And then the third would be, even if you're starting your own company and you look at your agenda book, I still have an agenda book, and you have a clear schedule that week or 2 meetings, you treat it like you are the owner of a Fortune 500 company. You wake up at whatever time you wake up, you go to the gym, you get to the office, even if it's your home office, and you start networking, making appointments, getting dressed up. Don't stay at home and work in your pajamas.
Yes.
You know, putting a nice suit on, making yourself feel empowered, reaching out to your sphere of influence. That I moved here not knowing anybody. Wow. I had family, but family doesn't want to just list their home, their $500,000 home with you because you're their family. It's their biggest asset.
Of course.
And so, you know, just really showing up is really important. So I say treat it like it's a Fortune 500 company.
That's all of them are very great tips, but I love the part about putting on your suit. If your agenda book is clear, go out and make things happen.
That's right. You have to make appointments. And even, you know, it's hard. I joined a bunch of networking groups, 2 or 3 when I started. Went to 2 churches, 3 gyms. I was going to 3 gyms.
Wow.
And so I found things that maybe weren't too expensive. I couldn't afford to market myself really at that point. So it's that old saying, it's who you know, and it's really true. And so I just really networked myself and found ways that were very cost effective, but was getting myself out there. And I'm a social butterfly. So if you're not a social butterfly, that's another thing I would say is you're going to have to really push those boundaries of what you're comfortable with to go out and meet people.
100%. Well, and you know, I see you in the community, you're out there, you're doing great, you're philanthropic, you're with other moms, you know, and that to me shows a big presence of who you are, which is why I think clients also want to hire you. And I think having that component to your business really makes you a well-rounded person. Would you agree?
Thank you, Pam.
Yeah.
Thank you. I'll take that. Thank you.
Well, thanks, Tanya. We're here with Boss Babe Tanya Ecklund. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you,
and
Pam.
if people want to find you, how do they look you up?
Well, my handle on Instagram is Tanya Eklund, TanyaEklund. I'm the Tanya Eklund group, so you can just Google Tanya Eklund. All of my contact information is on my website as well. I'm very, very easy to find.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Tanya.
Thanks, Pam.